October 19, 2020. Original petition to modify parent-child relationship. 2. This suit is brought by Sean Holcomb, petitioner, who is the father to the child the subject of this suit. 4. Jessie Bailey, who is the mother to the child the subject of this suit. Other affected parties. 8. There are no court-ordered relationships for the child of this suit. Order to be modified. 9. The order to be modified is entitled Order in Suit to Modify Parent-Child Relationship and was signed on August 18, 2020. Conservatorship. 11. The following modifications requested by Sean Holcomb are in the best interest of the child of this suit. No written settlement agreement. 12. Sean Holcomb petitions the court to modify an order for possession and access and child support that is not based on a collaborative law settlement agreement or a mediated settlement agreement. Conservatorship. Conservatorship modification grounds. 13. The familial circumstances of the child have materially and substantially changed since the date of the rendition of the order. Minimizing disruptions. 14. Sean Holcomb petitions the court to order that the parties provide a safe, stable, and nonviolent environment for the child and will make reasonable attempts to assure that the child will have frequent and continuing contact, communications, and visitations between and among each parent and child to optimize the development of a close and continuing parent-child relationship while minimizing disruption of the child's education, daily routine, and association with friends. Possession and access. History of abuse and neglect. 15. Jessie Bailey has a history or pattern of past or present child neglect, or physical or sexual abuse directed against Haven Holcomb. Sean Holcomb petitions this court to deny access to the child by Jessie Bailey. If the court finds that awarding Jessie Bailey access to the child would be in the best interest of the child, Sean Holcomb petitions that the periods of access be continuously supervised by an entity or person chosen by this court. Child support. The following modifications requested by Sean Holcomb are in the best interest of the child of this suit. Child support modification grounds. 16. The amount of support contained in the order does not substantially conform with the child support guidelines under Chapter 154 of the Texas Family Code. Sean Holcomb petitions the court to modify the order to substantially conform to the guidelines. The modification is in the best interest of the child. Child support modification request. 17. Sean Holcomb petitions the court to modify the amount of support ordered for obligations accruing after the earlier of the date of service of citation on Jessie Bailey or Jessie's appearance in this suit. Modification of amount. 18. Sean Holcomb petitions the court to increase the amount of child support until the support obligation terminates. Temporary relief. Best interest of the child. 19. The following temporary restraining order and injunctions requested by Sean Holcomb are in the best interest of the child of this suit. Combined Family Code Temporary Restraining Order and Injunction. 20. Sean Holcomb petitions this court to dispense with the issuance of a bond, grant a temporary restraining order without notice to Jessie Bailey for the safety and welfare of the child and, after notice and hearing, that this court render a temporary injunction including, but not limited to, prohibiting Jessie Bailey from engaging in any conduct in any of the following conduct. A. Disturbing the peace of the child, Sean Holcomb, or another party. And B. Making disparaging remarks regarding Sean Holcomb or Sean Holcomb's family in the presence or within the hearing of the child. Extraordinary relief. 21. Sean Holcomb petitions that this court dispense with the issuance of a bond and order the following extraordinary relief on the basis that prior to the initiation of this suit, Jessie Bailey engaged in the conduct described in the affidavits attached to this petition as Exhibit A and Exhibit B, and grant an order. A. Excluding Jessie Bailey from possession of or access to the child, Haven Holcomb. Temporary orders regarding child. 22. Sean Holcomb petitions this court to render an appropriate temporary order including, but not limited to, the following. A. Ordering Jessie Bailey to pay temporary child support. Temporary orders for order relief. 23. Sean Holcomb petitions this court to render an appropriate temporary order including, but not limited to, the following. A. Upon a finding that it is necessary for the safety and welfare of the child, Jessie Bailey be ordered to pay reasonable attorney's fees and expenses for Sean Holcomb until entry of the final order. Attorney's fees. 24. It was necessary to hire Bridget O'Brien and pay attorney's fees to prosecute this petition to modify parent-child relationship. Sean Holcomb petitions this court to award reasonable and necessary attorney's fees and expenses incurred through trial and appeal, as a judgment in favor of Sean Holcomb against Jessie Bailey, and order the judgment and post-judgment interest to be paid directly to Bridget O'Brien, who may enforce the order for fees by any means available for the enforcement of a judgment for debt. 25. Sean Holcomb petitions this court to order that all court costs incurred in preparing and prosecuting this petition be taxed against Jessie Bailey. Prayer. Sean Holcomb prays that this court issue citation and notice as required by law and to grant the relief requested in this petition. Sean Holcomb prays that this court immediately grant a temporary restraining order restraining Jesse Bailey, in conformity with the allegations of this petition, from the acts set forth above, and Sean Holcomb prays that, upon notice and hearing, this temporary restraining order be made a temporary injunction. Sean Holcomb prays that this court, upon notice and hearing, grant temporary orders as requested in this petition. Sean Holcomb prays that he be awarded a judgment against Jesse Bailey for reasonable attorney's fees, expenses, and costs. Sean Holcomb prays for general relief. Respectfully submitted, Law Office of Bridget R. O'Brien. In support of extraordinary relief. Sean Holcomb personally appeared before me and stated under oath, "My name is Sean Holcomb. I am over the age of 18. I am competent to testify and therefore make this affidavit. This affidavit is based on my personal knowledge, and the facts are true and correct. On May 29, Jesse Bailey did not show up for her weekend visitation with Haven. I waited at the designated pickup location until 6:20 p.m. and I also texted her with no response. I was notified that Jessie would be exercising her visitation the next weekend and that she would also be exercising 1 or weeks of makeup visitation, so she would have Haven until June 14th. Jessie did pick up Haven for visitation on June 5th, but they had an argument and Jessie returned Haven on June 12th. At that point Jessie texted me that she wanted to relinquish her rights and I believed that she was not going to exercise her visitation anymore. I was informed that Jessie had changed her mind and wanted to have her summer visitation. I dropped Haven off at her house on July 2nd around 1:30 p.m. Approximately 40 minutes later Haven called me from a neighbor's house. Haven told me that she was kicked by Jessie's husband, Jonathan Bailey, and that he destroyed her phone. I called the police and they took a report. I was told by the officer that Jessie said Haven was no longer welcome at her home. Jessie has not contacted me or my daughter's cell phone. I had to replace her phone, and has not been blocked by me or my daughter. I believe that the circumstances have significantly changed since the hearing on May 14, 2020, and the current orders are no longer in the best interest of my daughter, Haven. I believe my daughter would be in danger both physically and emotionally if the visitation with Jessie were to take place. Patrick Sean Holcomb. Haven Holcomb's affidavit. My name is Haven Holcomb. I am competent to testify and therefore make this affidavit. This affidavit is based on my personal knowledge, and the facts are true and correct. On July 2nd my dad dropped me off for summer visitation with my mom. We had to wait outside their house for over 15 minutes before they finally let me in. Jonathan immediately began harassing me about my sister, Lexi, not coming over with me. I told him that he should keep his comments to himself. Jonathan then began to harass me about saying hello to my mom. When I said hello, he called me a disrespectful child. My mom came downstairs and handed me some papers. She told me that I lied to the lawyers and counselor and said I didn't write the messages that I sent her. She starts this argument often. I responded in the same way I always do, that I did not lie to them and yes, I wrote the messages. I also told her that I didn't lie to the cops when we had to call them because she threatened to kill herself. They continued to call me names and said that I have a lot of problems. I got a message on my phone and I went to check it. Jonathan grabbed the phone out of my hand and walked out. I followed him and asked him to return my phone. He would not give it back, so I took my mom's phone to try and call for help. They took my mom's phone back from me and then Jonathan slammed my phone on the ground. I was crying and trying to walk away, but Jonathan wouldn't let me. He was walking up the stairs backwards and my mom still yelling at me from behind. Jonathan tripped and fell over and kicked me right under my rib, causing me to stumble down the stairs a bit. I was begging to go home, and I sat on the bedroom floor crying. I asked my mom to take me home. She told me you're not going anywhere and she told me that I have problems to figure out. I was hurt and scared, so when she left, I crawled out of the window and ran to the alley. I didn't have any shoes on and the rocks hurt and the ground was burning my feet, but I kept running until I found a house with a nice lady that let me in and she let me use her phone. I am afraid of both my mom and of Jonathan and do not wish to go back to my mom's home. My mom has not tried to contact me since this happened. Haven Holcomb, subscribed and sworn to before me on October 13, 2020. Ken Blystone.